At this point, I'm just like, okay, we get it, Edgar Wright. You love James Bond franchise. Okay, when are you gonna when are you gonna write and direct a James Bond film? Like seriously. Hello, everyone. I'm Mitchell Ryan Darcy, and I just watched Last Night in Soho. Because I feel this movie should not be spoiled, I will not be doing a spoiler review. I will keep it spoiler free. And this is another great Edgar Wright film. Very nice horror Halloween type tale in a sense of timing. Like watching this the day or two before Halloween, it's like it's kind of a really it's like a standalone Twilight Zone type episode, but it's really good. I really enjoyed it. Just the thrill of going through the movie for the first time is really, really good. I don't know how well it's going to hold up on a second viewing, but with knowing Edgar Wright's previous works, I don't think I have to worry too much about it not being watchable on a second viewing, because all of Edgar Wright's films, just like, I can watch that again and again and again, and it never gets tiring. Granted, the only movie I haven't seen by him, well, I haven't seen his newer one, the Sparks Brothers documentary, or his very first film, Fistful of Fingers, because, they haven't really released a good home media release of that. So I'm kind of hoping that might be on Blu-ray someday. Which, by the way, the Sparks Brothers documentary that Edgar Wright directed, I remember seeing a headline that it just recently came out on Netflix in America. I'm going to see if somehow I can watch that. I'm excited for that because I really only know one song by the Sparks, and it is a great song, and I've always wanted to delve further into their filmography. And that was the song that was used in Kick-Ass, the "This town ain't big enough for the both of us." Doo 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 doo. Anyways, so I'm excited to watch that. Last Night in Soho does feature the last live action performance of Diane Rigg, as well as Margaret Nolan from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, as well as Goldfinger. And I actually totally forgot, but at this rate, Edgar Wright has in Hot Fuzz, he had Timothy Dalton. In The World's End, he had Pierce Brosnan, Rosamund Pike. At this point, I'm just like, okay, we get it, Edgar Wright. You love James Bond franchise. Okay, when are you gonna when are you gonna write and direct a James Bond film? Like seriously, my God, Edgar Wright's style, like he's not editing the films, but he definitely, when he writes a film or directs a film per se, the way he designs the shots per se, a lot of it is the editing is what really brings these shots together. And though I will say during the normal life sections of the film, it works, but it's just, for me, I felt like some of it does get like, I felt a little bit fatigued. It gets a little mundane, but then again, the reason I felt a little fatigued with that is just because I literally, a day or two before watching this movie, I actually rewatched Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. And for those who haven't seen it, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is the cocaine and candy of movie transitions between scenes. Like, holy crap. In that movie, it's like, it kind of matches the style of the original graphic novel in the comics. So it's like, it works tenfold, and I don't think there could have been a better director for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World than Edgar Wright, because his style just works so well with the source material. But in Last Night in Soho, like, I had no complaints about it. I just felt I was a little bit like, oh, I've seen this from every other Edgar Wright film in a sense. But then the dream sequences come into play in this film, and oh my God, this is where Edgar Wright really shines. But then Edgar Wright really goes above and beyond with the dream sequences throughout this entire film. That is where everything just works so well, and it's just almost unbelievable in certain sections of like watching this film, especially on the first time watching. It's like it's a lot of it is like, wow, that was so smooth. How did they, the production, do this? And do it so well. Overall, though I love a lot of the other Edgar Wright films, this film is still a great film. It's just the problem is Edgar Wright has done so many other films that I just love, and it's like at some point a film that I don't love as much, even though it is still a great film, is not going to rank as highly. Like if I was going through Edgar Wright's filmography, Last Night in Soho unfortunately would be on the lower end, just because like as much as I think it's a great film, I just don't love it as much. And it's no diss against the film, and I definitely would recommend watching it on the big screen. But I'm now I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Is Edgar Wright, because the Cornetto Trilogy is kind of an anthology series because each movie is a different story and different characters. The only thing really bridging it is the Cornetto ice cream, the 3 different flavors, and the starring 2 characters being Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. So for Baby Driver and Last Night in Soho, are we getting another anthology trilogy by Edgar Wright? And it's going to be movies whose titles are based on actual songs trilogy? Because Baby Driver had the Simon and Garfunkel song Baby Driver, and this one had another song, older song, called Last Night in Soho. I don't know who the band is, and it's always played at the end credits too, and even the end credits kind of had the similar style to Baby Driver. So I'm super excited to see what Edgar Wright does next, and what song he turns into a movie to complete this anthology trilogy. And I wonder what style it's going to be, because Baby Driver was like action, crime, heist, and then this one was horror, psychological thriller, and then it's like, what's going to be the next one? Because, I mean, the Cornetto Trilogy, the first one was zombie horror, second one was detective action movie, and then the third one, World's End, is kind of like sci-fi. I'll say sci-fi. I don't know. The World's End for me is kind of weird, because I'm like, I wouldn't really consider that horror. Like, it does have elements of horror. I would say sci-fi apocalypse. Would that be a genre of film? I don't know. But I'm super excited to see what he does next. And I wonder if he's going to get Daniel Craig or George Lazenby to make an appearance in any of his future films. Last Night in Soho is a very refreshing, original film. Honestly, if you are worn out with sequels and, things based off of things, adaptations and all that, Last Night in Soho is a real treat, especially if you see it in theaters. Especially if you love older music. I guess if you're a fan of the 60s as well. The sets and the choreography of this movie is amazing. Great use of the settings and various locations, and I assume it was entirely filmed in Soho. I could be wrong about that, but it definitely feels like it was filmed entirely there. This film does have some flashing lights, and I was warned before going into the film, as well obviously horror elements, which obviously not a lot of people are they don't, some people just don't willingly go into a film being like, oh yeah, horror, yeah, killing, yeah, bloody death, yeah, and I understand, but behind this film is a very great almost detective mystery type movie where you're trying to figure out things, and I think overall the movie is definitely an experience and a trip, and one that is definitely great with friends. Anyways, I want to know what you think of Last Night in Soho. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. I want you to have a nice day or night or whatever time you watch this. Have a nice whenever.